In this video lesson, we're going to talk about dilations and scale factors part 2, which covers mainly dilations and scale factors on the coordinate plane. So just as a review, a dilation is a change in size, but not the shape of a figure. So for example, here it's always a star, but the size changes. When we're talking about scale factors, that has to do with a dilation, and it's the ratio of the length of a side on the image to the length of its corresponding side on the pre-image. So whenever we're talking about the scale factor, it's the image over the pre-image. So here, this side compared to this side, and this image, this number would go on top and this number would go on the bottom. So scale factor, it's the number that you multiply to dilate the figure. So if this is your pre-image, this is the one that you start with. If you have a scale factor of 1/2, then you would take 8 times 1/2, and that would give you 4. If you wanted, and see how it made it smaller, right? That's half the size. If you have 8 and you have a scale factor of 2, you would take 8 times 2, which is 16. So here it would double the size. So on the flip side, say we didn't know the scale factor, right? If we're just given the pre-image and the image, then we would put the image on top of the pre-image. So if we had 4/8, that equals 1/2, which is what our scale factor was. Here, if we take 16/8, we get 2, which that's what the scale factor was for this one. So when you're finding scale factor, it works with orders pairs too. So for example, if you're wanting to find a new point, so say you have a triangle on a coordinate plane, and one of those points is 6, -4, okay? If you perform a dilation with a scale factor of 3/2, what would be the coordinate of the new point? And so all that you're going to do here is take 6 and -4, and you're going to multiply them both by 3/2. So we're going to take 6 times 3/2. Okay, 6 times 3 is 18. 18 divided by 2 is 9. And then we're going to take -4 times 3/2. -4 times 3 is -12. -12 divided by 2 is -6. So if we performed a scale factor of 3/2, the coordinate of the new point would be 9/6. If we want to find the scale factor, it works the opposite way. So say you have a triangle. Remember that triangle we talked about earlier? It had a point at 6, -4. After the dilation, the new point is 3, -2. So what was the scale factor that was applied? So remember, when we're finding scale factor, we want to do image over the pre-image. Okay, so our image, that's the dilated, is 3. And then our pre-image is going to be 6. So that's 1/2. Now you want to do the other one too, just to make sure that it's the same. Okay, so we're going to take -2 over -4. A negative over a negative is a positive, and 2/4 is 1/2. So it works the same, so it's a scale factor of 1/2. Here it says triangle ABC is located at points 5, 4, -2, 2, and 0, 0. Using a scale factor of 0.5, so that's 1/2, what would be the vertices of the new triangle? So on here, all we're going to do, like we did earlier, we're going to take all of these numbers and we're going to multiply them times 1/2. Okay, so we're going to take 5 and we're going to times that by 1/2. And that's going to give us 2.5. And then we're going to take 4 times 1/2, which is going to give us 2. So one of the new points would be 2.5 and 2. And then we're going to take -2 times that by 1/2. That's going to give us -1. And then 2 times 1/2, that's going to give us +1. So we're going to have -1 and then +1. For the last one, 0, 0, right? 0 times 1/2 is 0, and 0 times 1/2 is 0. So the new point for that one would be 0, 0. Okay, oh, and that should be a point. That's 2.5. So these would be the 3 points for our new triangle. Here it says triangle ABC is located at points 5, 4, -2, 2, and 0, 0. Using a scale factor of 1.5, what would be the vertices of the new triangle? So now what we're going to do is multiply them by 1.5, okay? So we're going to take 5 and multiply that times 1.5, and that's going to give us 7.5. Then we're going to take 4, multiply that times 1.5, which is going to give us 6. So the new point for that one would be 7.5 and 6. Then we're going to take -2, multiply that times 1/2, which is going to give us -3. And then 2 times 1.5, which is a +3. So we have -3, 3. And then 0, 0, right, times 1.5 is going to be 0. So this point is going to stay 0, 0. So those would be the 3 new points for our new triangle. So for this one, we want to study the red pre-image and the associated blue dilation image. Okay, so the red's the pre, the blue is the dilated. The center of dilation is 2, -2. That means it's this point right here. Okay, so what is the scale factor of the dilation? So what we can do here, okay, now in this one right here, when your origin, your center of dilation is not at 0, 0, you don't necessarily want to take the points to find the center of, or to find the scale factor. Okay, what you want to do is find the length, and with this one it's good because we have 2 sides that have a straight, that we can count the number of sides. Okay, because if we look here, and oh, real quick, sorry, before we go on here. Your center of dilation is at 2, -2, because if we were to draw our lines here, and let me get a different color. Let's just use black. Here are these 2 lines. Here are these 2 lines. And then here are these 2 lines. So that's why the center of dilation is right there. This is the pre-image point. This is the image, okay? This one's the pre-image to this image. So when we're comparing sides, okay, we want to compare the right points, okay? So for this point right here, if we're comparing this point and this point with this point, and obviously those points are the same. Let's count the sides here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. So this has a length of 4. Okay, let's count this one. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so the scale factor, remember, when we find scale factor, let me change my color again. When we find scale factor, we want to have the image over the pre-image, right? And if we look here, we see that our image gets bigger. So we know our scale factor should be greater than 1. So if I put 12 on top and 4 on bottom, that means that we applied a scale factor of 3, okay? Now, notice that the blue image is on the opposite side of the center of dilation. Okay, so here these triangles are a mirror image of each other. They're not on the same side. All right, that means that your scale factor is negative. All right, so we know it's 3. That's what, because remember, scale factor, when we're talking about larger and smaller, we talk about the absolute value. So 3, but since it's on the opposite side, this is actually a scale factor of -3. And that is the end of dilations and scale factors part 2.